is Hard Parking, proudly sponsored by Right Honda out of Scottsdale, Arizona. I am your host. I am your voice, Jay Finning. Happy holidays to everyone. So recently I had posted the 100th episode, and a lot of people didn't listen to it. That is a direct correlation of the holidays. I understand that. But just to recap, I just wanted to say thank you to everyone for listening to the show. If this is your first time listening to the show, feel free to go back and listen to a lot of other episodes. The show has grown tremendously in listenership and quality over the last 2 years. Hopefully everybody had a good Christmas vacation. For those of you who celebrate Christmas, for those of you who do the gift giving, not everybody does. I want to be respectful of that, but I got some cool stuff. Got some new headphones. I'm wearing them right now. These are the Sony Dynamic headphones, the MDR 7506 Professional. Not necessary. Across from me is a decanter that is shaped like the globe. Came with a couple globe cups, and I took some of the Noah's Mill that I had left and poured it in there. Those are the things I want to put on display kind of in the background when I record, when the rare times that I do video. Also received some studio lights. I asked for these two. They plug in, but they also have backup batteries. Each of them has 2 battery packs on them. In fact, I'm using one to kind of light the room now, in addition to my overhead cake pan light that I built for $66. But it was time to step the game up. I don't really have any other lighting in here. I plan on building one of those black steel lighting fixtures. I have a bunch of that stuff in the closet left over from the shirt press stand that I created. And I always thought those were kind of neat, just to kind of build one kind of snaking across the wall that turns on. What I have planned for you guys today is episode 3. It is a throwback episode. I know most people don't go back and listen to the early stuff, but not only do I want to share with you, everyone listening, the journey that is hard parking, but there's a lot of good information. And people ask me every once in a while if I've ever talked about this or ever talked about that. And I always say, yeah, it's in a really early episode. So it makes me feel like I need to kind of regurgitate it. Soundproofing, sponsorships. I get a lot of sponsorship questions, and sponsorships, that doesn't matter if it's for cars, podcasts, corporate, anything you're into, hobby. The principles are the same. And I take a look back at SEMA. My car was in SEMA in 2017. That was kind of a big deal. So hope you guys enjoy this. Have a lot of good content planned. I've been talking to a few people this last couple of weeks, and I decided to save it to the new year so that more people will be listening to these incredibly awesome stories and good times. Real quick, before I take you there, I haven't given you guys a random thought of the week in a while, and I've been kind of stewing on this one. My random thought is, I never know if it's my grandson or my mother-in-law who left pee in the toilet. Coming up, Season 1, Episode 3. Jay Finning here, and I want to tell you guys about 4Wheel Online. For over a decade, 4Wheel Online has been bringing the best truck accessories and truck parts to enhance the appearance and performance of all trucks and SUVs. They are dedicated to providing an extensive range of upgrades that will match any maker model on the road. Their truck products cover everything you need to give your truck a custom look and added functionality. And if you need a tire and wheel package, head over and use the configuration tool. They carry all the major brands of wheels and tires, so go get outfitted today. So visit them online at 4Wheel Online or call them at 813-769-2451. Again, that's 4Wheel Online, the number 4, Wheel Online.
Brando Barametta.
Yes, sir.
So we just recently, redid our entire first floor. I may have talked about that before. We hired a contractor to come in, the same guy who built our cabinets, to build out the pantry. But here's the problem. He quoted us $1,200, and we're looking at each other like, wow, that's a steal, because, my wife wants cabinets, floating shelves, like a quartz countertop. So we kept waiting for this guy to come back, waiting for him to come back. My wife started complaining because he wasn't calling her back. And I said, well, just give him time. I'm sure he's really busy. He's a laborer, give him some time. So we finally get a hold of him. He tells us a sob story about a bunch of crap that happened to him, and he ended up having to come out of pocket like $18,000. So now our quote went from $1,200 up to like $4,000. So my wife starts looking at me, and she's like, well, can you do it? I go, well, I can try. I can hang up some wire shelves or something simple, because I'm not a fucking contractor. I can do some basic shit. So she got excited about it, and we started drawing out these plans, and she started showing me this like professional HGTV stuff. And I was like, whoa, I can't even handle that shit. So I spent all last weekend at IKEA, My knees are fucking hurt because I spent a lot of time on my knees too. But I spent not that kind of knees. Not that kind of knees. I spent my knees in the garage. I'll tell you about that in a little bit. But, long story short, I went out and bought all this heavy duty equipment, and I'm going to try to create these shelves and build out the pantry. But that's definitely not something that I'm any good at. But, it's kind of one of those things that I kind of jump into.
Jeez. It's a lot of homework at home.
Exactly. Yeah, I spend all my weekends working with the house, but at the end of the day, it'll be happy wife, happy life, or I'm trying to find ways to make it happy spouse, happy house, because I got some shit I want to do with my car.
You need your approval for that, huh?
Well, this is my approval because we dropped a lot of money on redecorating the entire first floor, building out a brand new, kitchen. Of course, I got my bar, which I talked about, on the first podcast about what I was obsessing about,
right.
The liquor collection. So that's basically what all this is. So hopefully I can get that knocked out at some point. So last time we talked, we talked about the NBA Finals.
Right.
So, your team lost.
Right. God.
So now I guess we can't. Yeah, I guess we can't talk about that anymore. So what else you got on your mind? What are you obsessing about right now? Like, what can't you live without? Like, what's getting you right now,
dude?
Positive or negative?
Have you checked out that Jaguar J-Type?
Maybe I should check it out now. So what are we looking at? Is it a sports car, SUV?
They're finally going mid-engine. Everybody's going mid-engine, right? So they're going mid-engine, and they're using, I think this pretty much the same engine they had on the F-Type, the supercharged 5.0. I think it's a Coyote engine, but they're going mid-engine, So, I'm excited for that to come out. And they said that's 2022.
2022. So this is like it's been in development for maybe a couple of years, and it's a remake from their old car with the super huge, front, hood.
Yeah, the 90s XJ.
No, we're talking about like the 1967 car.
Oh, okay.
So this is super old. But yeah, I'm taking a look at it, and you're right. Maybe from a design perspective, it kind of reminds me of an XJ220. I think that's what they were.
Yeah.
But better. It almost has like an F-type ish,
right,
inspired front.
Right. Hey,
it
looks good. You remember they had the Jaguar racing on the James Bond movie. Remember they had the Spectre Defender, and then they had a mid-engine Jaguar that the bad guy had, and that's dope.
Yeah, they had was that the one? So they had the Jag, and then some of the movies they had the Aston Martins, and then
yep.
Is this the one where the gun came out of it, or was that like a DB9?
I think that was a DB9. This one was what the wrestler. He's a wrestler in real life, but he played the bad guy this time. James Bond Spectre.
Oh yeah, The movie is
the movie Spectre.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had that one in that car, or that car was in that movie.
Speaking of Spectre, okay, a couple years ago you brought up a build project. You still messing with that?
Oh yeah, my Spectre Defender. Yeah, I am. Put that project on hold for the last 2 years, and now got some extra time to create content for it and to be able to build it out and finish it off. Yeah, so I'm making a list of people that I'm collaborating with, some brands that I'm working with, to kind of pull our resources together and pull this bad boy off. So really looking forward to that one.
Is there a way can I track this anywhere? Is this on like Facebook or social media?
Oh yeah, it's
Instagram.
Right now it's on Instagram at Spectre Defender, SPECTREDEFENDER. But I don't know. I'm thinking of either continuing it there or continuing it on my at that damn NSX. What do you think? Should it be separate? Should it be separate? Because I don't want to manage another page,
I manage several pages, and I'm telling you, it's kind of a pain in the butt. But at the same time, there's going to be people who it's hard, right? Because there's people who follow you that don't care about your cars. So that's why you have that damn Islander.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's people who follow that page that want to see your car. That's why you have that damn NSX. But I think it's okay to have two builds underneath the same page.
I think so.
But
Because I don't want
know.
to create that. There's so much. You gotta put out so much content, and like I'm already in that business, so being able to change gears and create for your hobby, I don't know. It's a little stressful. I don't know.
So
They should let us know. Y'all should let me know how I'm going to do this, right?
yeah, I agree. Yeah, we can leverage the people that listen to this podcast when it eventually comes out. And I think that, speaking of the people, you created, remember Mid-Engine Mafia?
Yeah.
So you got to change that page, and I don't know if Facebook allows you to change the name of a page.
Oh,
Facebook's
yeah.
kind of fucked up. Like, it's really difficult to do
They
anything
are.
once you
They
create
are.
something.
They're being Nazis about things right now.
So we may have to either close it or see if we can change it to the name Hard Parking Podcast.
Yeah.
But, that's not a huge thing, but it's just kind of something I think we should take a look at.
Yeah, I'm going to try doing that then.
So do you have any projects going on with your NSX? You got any? Yeah, I think you had mentioned at some point in time, I don't remember if it was on the air or just in passing, about maybe messing with the surfboard or doing something like that on your car.
Yeah.
For storage. Or
I think we're going to do it. We're going to do a surfboard. It's Panama City Beach. It's Florida. We get decent surf. And when's the last time you saw an NSX with a surfboard?
According to Google, none.
Oh, look. Oh, again, none?
How about that?
How about that?
So are you going to do, because it looks like there's design racks specifically for surfboards. Are you just going to put the rack on? You have a Targa.
No. I have a coupe.
Okay, yours is what is yours, 94?
94, right.
That's right. Yeah. Oh, so you have a coupe. You can do whatever you want, man.
Right. So I'm thinking of getting these brackets from Seasucker.
Seasucker.
Yeah, Seasucker. Dude, I don't know how that's going to work because our roof is not that long,
Yeah.
It's only
maybe
like a foot and a half, maybe. Maybe create another bracket that you're gonna put on our rear window glass. Like, that's gonna fucking shatter. So I don't know. I think you're just gonna do it and just see what the fuck happens.
You considered a knee board instead?
I don't know. That's a good idea. I think I'm just gonna put different sizes. I'm just gonna put different sizes. Like, okay, that looks good right there. I just want to make this look good. Okay, that looks proportionate. Maybe like a short board. Maybe a 6 foot.
Is that like a bodyboard? I don't know anything about aqua sports.
Yeah, no, it's you want something narrow, so a surfboard will do it rather than a bodyboard.
Our bodyboard's fat.
Yeah, and they look like frogs,
Oh.
Yeah, they're like shaped weird.
Yeah, I don't know shit about that.
Yeah,
I'm still working on my carpet.
Oh.
One of the things I'm obsessing about is, man, so I was driving back from Texas a few months ago, and my car was loud. I couldn't hear the CarPlay. I couldn't talk to people. I like listening to the soundtrack, like movie scores, music, like, Hans Zimmer and Clint Mansell and those guys.
Right.
And to hear some of the tones, it's got to be airtight and quiet, and that's impossible in my car. But what I can do is try to make it a little bit more sound efficient, and, by the way, insulated a little better. So what I did is I went out and I bought a bunch of soundproofing materials. I went online, looked at this stuff called Noico, Noico, and it was the editor's choice. They compared that to Dynamat, Hushmat, like 10 different brands.
Yeah, Dynamat's OG though, yeah.
It's OG. It's OG. It's OG, but it's also very expensive.
Right.
So I bought that, and then I went to this other website called Second Skin Audio. I bought some of their material. It's almost like carpet padding, but the fibrous carpet padding, so it's kind of heavy, and it's got the reflective silver material on both sides.
Okay.
And so that's going to be the second layer, and the second layer. And then I bought this stuff called mass loaded vinyl. Now that you see that on the internet all the time. This mass loaded vinyl, about 28 inches wide, and then whatever the math is to make it 9 square feet. I don't think I have enough to do both sides of the floor, driver and passenger, but that's what I'm going to be working on for a while, and I'll continue to update. I also have to take my car into Science of Speed to finally get the ECU, and hopefully I don't need to have anything major done to it, and I can just get the ECU because that's going to be like $3,000. But I'm tired of my car shutting off because I have the FIC,
Yeah.
which is a piggyback system. The FIC sucks. So what happens is I can't run my air conditioner and come to a full stop at the same time because the FIC basically retards the timing. And so when I brake, the RPM gauge dips and the car can cut off. And then it makes it difficult. Sometimes it doesn't want to start up immediately. So if you're sitting at a light, people are looking at you, like either A, that guy's car is a piece of shit, or B, he doesn't know how to drive a stick.
Right.
Because when I first got this thing put in, I was doing a photo shoot with Kenny Visions, one of my friends, and that car probably died on me 50 times within 3 hours. So like rolling through downtown Phoenix. Embarrassing as shit.
That can be embarrassing.
Because guess what? People look at my car.
Yeah.
So
all eyes on you.
Yeah, no creeping around
Right.
in that thing. Hopefully I can get all that squared away. Mods, so visual mods, things you can and can't see. So that's basically what I'm doing now. Is you can't really see the soundproofing and the thermal protection, but I can feel it. So where do you spend your money when you start doing little things? What's your first move, exterior or interior?
So I went with the Instagram route. I made, I wanted the outside to be what I want it to be. Like after I got the car, I was like, all right, I think I'm ready to give her, her own personality. And at that time, the Porsche GT3 RS came out with that ultraviolet.
That purple, right?
Yeah, that purple, that ultraviolet. Yep. And I was like, all right, that's the color. And then,
I think it's awesome because you're like, you kind of announce yourself to social media.
Yeah, it was.
Because people get tired of looking at the same cars. So now they're like, wow. I mean, there's a pro and a con. The con is you kind of eliminate the masses, but the pro is you bring in the niche.
Correct. And I kind of made it look like a show on social media in a way that I didn't tell anybody the color until it came out. Because whenever I would show it with new paint, I would make it into black and white. So it was like I was engaging with my friends online.
I think I'm going to start up another segment called Rental Car of the Week because I rent a car on this contract. I do contract work on this contract every other week, but usually it's every week. And I actually tried to film, make a YouTube show called, I think it's Rental Car Reviews with Jay or something fucking stupid. So last year when I was working this same contract out in New Jersey, I would bring a GoPro with me and I would set it up in the car and I'd film outside footage. I'd stick it on the front of the car. We'd film the road and I'd stick it on the dashboard and film me. And I'd put it on the back of the car and I would talk about road noise and things I like about the car and things I hate about the car. And would the car be good for you if you rented it with a family? Would it be good for you depending on the city you're in? All that stuff. Made about 12 episodes. Had, 15 gigs of uncut raw content, to use your word. Watched a few previews. I did a lot of outtakes. The outtakes were funny. The show sucked, in my opinion. Nobody else is ever going to see it. But I decided if I don't think it's funny, then it's not funny, which it's probably not up to me to decide. But so anyway, trash that idea. But now we have this platform. So I'm going to do Jay's Rental Car of the Week. And it may not be every episode, but damn it, I'm going to talk about a car because this is a hard parking podcast.
Right. Anything automotive.
And
toys. Yeah, and then toys.
And Marvel and MCU and toys.
All them.
I'm such a nerd. So, so the nerds are going to tune in, the geeks, because they're expecting to hear about all the geeky shit that I post on social media. They're probably not going to get it. They're going to be pissed. And then the hardcore car people are going to be tuned in and they're going to hear geek shit and they're going to be pissed.
He is going to piss everybody off.
Everybody's going to be pissed off. So let's do our question of the week.
Already.
This week's question of the week on July 11th. What vehicle from the 1970s would you buy and fix up if money was not an issue?
I would not take one from the 1970s, but I'm going to get one from the 1980s and get the 1981 DeLorean. It was the year I was born, and I don't know. It just it's nice to kind of open up your garage and be like, oh yeah, and this is a car that was born the same year I was born. Let me tell you the
What
story.
year is this?
Yes,
What
81,
year?
1981, and they only made DeLoreans for like 3-4 years.
Yeah, because he went to jail. Hey,
Yeah,
I got to be honest here. You said DeLorean.
yeah.
For some reason, my brain went El Camino.
Wow.
And I was getting ready to talk so much shit about how you picked the ugliest car, arguably ever. And there's some 70s El Caminos. Like, I got a boy in Michigan who fixed one up.
Yeah.
And it was actually respectful. It looked good. But I'm like, 81 El Camino? I wonder what that looks like.
That, put it like an LS swap, resto mod it, put it on bags, and have a fucking fog machine inside. Fuck yeah.
I don't even know if you can do all that to
all
that
day.
car.
Yes, I can. There's enough fucking fabricators out there. Somebody's gonna make it. You just gotta spend enough fucking money.
Someone's going to make it work, huh?
Right. Somebody's crazy.
You'll make it rain. You're going to walk into the mod shop and just make it rain.
Right. But
So
let's do this.
in California, there's a guy. There's probably several people who do this. But in California, there's a guy who made a clone of the time machine. And this thing looks like a freaking movie prop. I've seen it. He's brought it to Scottsdale Cars and Coffee.
That's dope. Yes.
Yeah. He's got the wires. He's got the whole thing on the inside with the 1955 November 5th, 1955, whatever the date was. Like, he's got everything. He's got the flux capacitor in there.
Yes, that's people's toys. It's not really a car anymore. It's like a toy.
That build makes my car look like bullshit.
Right. No, that's
in my opinion.
Right. To be something like that, to be, like you said, stage prop type shit. Like somebody pulls up with that, like, yeah, okay, you win. Like, fuck yeah.
Right. It's so next level.
Right.
And modified, it's not reversible.
Right. That's commitment. Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
He wins. Good.
I built mine to where I can reverse it because the wrap comes off. I redo the interior to keep my seats. And it's still going to be a badass looking NSX. It's just going to be boring black like everybody else's black NSX, which drives me fucking nuts. I always put something on the car so that people know whose car it is. But I got the custom taillights, but there's nothing upsets me more. Actually, a lot of things upset me. But from a car perspective, one of the pet peeves is when someone says, "Oh, I think I saw your car in California. Or I saw you driving down whatever the other day." I'm like, "No, you didn't." No one says that shit now.
Hey, I don't have that problem.
Yeah, you don't have that problem.
I don't have that problem.
Or people say, "Oh, I was watching YouTube and I think I saw your car, a car like yours." No, motherfucker, that was my car.
Right.
You saw my car. Nobody else is this fucking crazy. So what would I pick though? I would pick a 1972 Camaro split front bumper.
Mm.
And I used to hate the 70s Camaros because we grew up in the IROC era.
Right.
Tell me you didn't want an IROC. You wanted one, right?
Oh fuck yeah! I wanted the Z24 IROC T-top. Mm.
Yep.
Black.
That thing was bad. Like the gray, they had like that cool gray. I think they had the gray. Am I misremembering?
Oh no! All I saw was like black, red, and white, and ones with fucking flames and blue. The blue looks.
Sorry,
good.
I went to my cousin's house in 2006 in Minnesota, and he has a barn. He collects cars, sort of. He's the type of car collector who makes some money but doesn't really know anything. So you'll go into his barn, and he'll have like the IROC Camaro, C3 Corvette, Stingray with a big, huge bumper or fenders, and he'll have just like a bunch of like weird bullshit cars.
Right.
And I've told him, I said, "Hey, Blair, why don't you sell all these cars and buy like one real car?" Because most of his cars are from the late 70s or early 80s when the automotive industry was down, especially the U.S. market. Not a lot of nice cars came out during that era. But anyway, so I hated the 1970s Camaro until I played this game called Grid, which is a racing game.
Mm-hmm.
One of the best, in my opinion, racing games ever for the PC.
PC, okay.
Yeah, I'm a PC gamer. So one of the courses you would have to pick certain type of vehicles. It's like a real race in real life where you can't race an open wheel vehicle in a crash up derby. That you have to race open wheel versus open wheel, Euro spec versus Euro spec, kind of like Gran Turismo,
Right.
you know. But I saw like one of my opponents in the game had that vehicle, and it was kind of that kind of vintage stock car NASCAR look with the big numbers on the side and the sponsors on it. And I was like, holy, that shit is bad. If I ever get one, I'm going to make it look bad. It's going to have the big tires. It's going to have some nice racing wheels, but period correct, or a period correct design, but modernized.
Right.
And I'm going to have wheel letters from back then. Because remember, everything had like the big Goodyear on it, or the BF Goodrich or whatever.
Yep.
And man, that shit looks sick.
That would be awesome. That'd be awesome to freaking have. You know, that's something that it'd be fun to drive in Cars and Coffee and, you know, show your different builds, you know.
But you know what would happen is people would come up, they'd love the car, and they'd start talking about that car and how their dad had one or their grandpa had one, and they'd start getting real technical about the motor, and I don't know any of that shit.
Shit, man, they do that shit with the NSX sometimes, man. I'm like, I don't know that.
Yeah, so you have it where they'll be, you know, because who's that character? Jesse on the first Fast and Furious, who fucking ran away?
Yeah, Jesse.
With the Jetta.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, you know, in that movie when he's talking, he's like, I only work on cars because it's like the only thing that calms me down or whatever.
Right.
I've had kids come up to me and start talking all this crazy Honda shit, like, oh, and then it's got the C58 and the Z26P XP12, and I'm gonna install. And I'm just shaking my head, like, yeah, man, yeah, totally. So which one does this have? Does this have the blah 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 blah? Look, kid,
right, like,
it's a C32B. That's about all I can tell you.
Right. So I'm like, I don't know, dog. You know, and I'm upfront with that stuff too. I'm like,
No, it's awesome, but I mean, I'm not a super tech mechanic. I'm not a super tech anything.
Hey, so how do you feel about sponsorships? Should we spend some time burning on that? Because I have a lot to say about sponsorships.
Yeah, actually.
What is your thought on sponsorships? What would you tell the people? And do you have any sponsorship stories?
Man, so the first thing that I do is I put together a marketing proposal that kind of gives a little background of what I've done, what the next goal is for the next quarter or the next year, and things that, like, you know, talk about my brand and things that I promise, you know, to pull off and provide some kind of a key performance indicators for it. It's either on impressions, you know, and calculate that on CPMs to put value on, put a dollar value on what I bring to the table. So once that write-up is put together, I look for a company that I already am either using or something or someone that I want to gain access to, you know, something that I want to have a piece of, that I want to be sponsored. You know, I'm very picky on who I want to collaborate with.
You have to be, right?
I think you have to be. I think a lot of people are just putting out, oh, I got sponsored by this sticker IG brand. That's not really sponsorship, dog. That's a $5 piece of vinyl. You know, like, both brands should bring something to the table, something that will benefit both of them, and, you know, promote them as well and kind of lift them up, lift their brand up, and be able to complement each other. So I think a lot of people just hit everybody up to, hey, I'm looking for a sponsorship, and they don't have any marketing piece or any marketing proposals of what they've done. And the problem is that I feel that a lot of people talk about what they're going to do. I think sponsors they prefer to jump on board when they see you doing the work already, that they're like, oh, this person is actually doing this, and this product of mine will accentuate their build and make it better. I think a lot of people just are like, well, I don't have anything yet, but I'm going to have the best stuff. And for me to have this best stuff, I need for you to give it to me now. but I haven't proven myself, but I promise I'm going to do it. Like, I don't think sponsors would like that. I
It's
think
a
you got to have a plan,
Yeah, it's a
you
lot
know,
like the example I was given earlier with the grid, right?
right?
So as you show and prove more, it unlocks doors to bigger sponsorship opportunities.
Correct.
But you can't go to Michelin with nothing and say, "Hey, will you sponsor me? Sponsor me. I have 120 followers on Instagram. I'm on my first vehicle. I want free tires, and I want you to sponsor me."
Right.
And it's not a fact of people being dumb. It's in being a little naive or not really understanding, what it really means to be sponsored and the level of effort and your commitment to them, I think.
Correct. I mean, you have to look at it from the other side of the fence as well. If you have a company and somebody just hits you up the way you hit somebody up, would you want to sponsor them too? I always look at it from that end, and it helps me build my marketing proposal.
And people have to understand and be okay with no. Don't take it as a rejection. Take it as an opportunity to build your brand, get better, and come back with them again.
Correct. No, no doesn't mean no. No means
Not
not,
right now.
not right now. Exactly, not right now. And if you have that mentality, and you're not fragile, it's it's nothing to be able to just send out a bunch of marketing proposals and sponsorship application and see which one lands.
Isn't it kind of like, so we talked about photography last time.
Right.
So, if you're just starting out as a photographer, you don't really have a portfolio, it's going to be harder for you to book cars of people you don't know, especially if they're nice cars, than if you're an accomplished photographer and you have this portfolio. If you're Larry Chin Photo, then people are going to hit you up and be dying to take photo shoots with you because of who you are and what your portfolio is. I think it's the same thing in the sponsorship game to a certain extent.
Correct. Correct. I want to see, like if you go online and put in some application for some sponsorship, that questionnaire is going to ask you, who have you worked with? Because they want to see, which brand has invested in you somewhat, somehow, some way, and be able to look at your social media and see if you did a good job representing those guys, or if you just did it to get free stuff and disappeared.
And some companies don't really care. They ask you, do you have an online presence? Are you on Instagram? Are you on Facebook? Do you go to car shows? If not, do you plan on going to shows? Because a lot of times I'll ask you if you won awards, what have you done this last year? What are you planning on doing next year? Just to get in the door. So you could take a very large company and they may say, okay, well, based on the information you gave us, we'd like to offer you a sponsorship. Here's your special code. Here's your login. You get 15% off.
Right.
But I mean, that's it. And I guess that's like starting out. So people get happy. Okay, well, now I'm sponsored by, we'll just say K&N intakes. So now I can go to K&N and I can buy an intake for 15% off. I can walk into AutoZone.
Right. For basically to get a discount.
So it's kind of a sponsorship, but not really. Because then you got partial sponsorships. You have full sponsorships.
Correct.
And you don't have to have a full sponsorship to be considered sponsored.
Correct.
It all depends on, I guess,
what the deal is.
The deal is.
Yeah.
I've seen people post, on Instagram, hey, go buy this car care product, use my code and get 15% off. Now, sometimes they are sponsored in the fact that, so I was sponsored by Mothers. I've been sponsored by Mothers twice. I've been sponsored by McGuire's.
Nice.
I'm sponsored somewhat by Ceramic Pro. I have the gold package. I got a sweet deal from a local installer, higher quality detail, but I'm still able to have that and a partial Mother sponsorship. So what Mothers does, and Adams does this as well, is for the people they decide to sponsor, they give them a credit to their products. So then you can log in and they'll say, we like what you're doing. Here's $200 a year, no cash value, but you can log into our portal and you can order stuff.
Wow.
And that's a level of sponsorship. And that's technically, I would call it a full sponsorship.
Yeah.
And then in return for that, send people our way. And by the way, at the show, you need to put these decals on your car. You need to submit photos, keep us informed of what you're doing. So in order for us to give you $200 worth of product over the next year, you need to prove to us that we're not wasting our time. So we want people to see our product and know that you're using our product on your car at car shows, online, etc. Right? So that's the exchange that people have to understand, because there's also other companies where I see people put in their Instagram profile, hey, I'm sponsored by this car culture. And this is the same car culture that hits everybody up on Instagram, says, we want to sponsor you. We'll help you help us. Our sponsorship to you is buy our stickers and buy our shirts for 15% off, post it online. And then the question is, okay, well, now that I've done that, I'm supporting you. How are you supporting me, Mr. Company, Mrs. Company? And all the company does is they might post your car once every blue moon, but beyond that, that's all they're doing. So
no monetary benefits, huh?
No. So that's, to me and to you, that's not a sponsorship. That's just slick marketing in order to get their product marketing on your car.
Right.
Yeah. Like, I think we're on the same page. So for people listening to this, don't get discouraged if you're looking for sponsors. Have a plan, like Brando said. Don't be afraid to fail. It's a fair exchange. And I'm part of the One Auto Movement ownership. And when we first started out, people are always asking us, hey, give me a free sticker, give me a free shirt, and I'll support you. And so it's really easy for me to flip around as essentially not a person, but as a company. You put yourself in the same shoes of the people that you're asking for things of. As Correct. A company, I'm like, okay, well, who are you? What is your exposure level? If I give you my stuff, what's my return on investment? Okay, well, you're a professional drift racer. What company doesn't want their product on a professional drift car?
Correct.
So the return on investment is great, potentially. Right. But if you're just starting out on social media, if you have no presence, if you just want to drive around with my stuff on your car, chances are I'm not giving you anything for free, because basically what you're doing is you're asking me to walk up to you, a complete stranger on the street, and say, here's $10. Go have fun.
Right. Pretty much.
You're asking me to come out of my pocket because your word is you want to support what I'm doing. But if you really want to support what I'm doing, then you're going to place an order.
Right.
And get out there. So it's the same thing with sponsorships. You have to have a plan.
So how did you do your SEMA?
SEMA, I had no idea. I had already secured sponsorships because I decided to get in the car show game 5 years ago. So when I moved from West Michigan, Arizona, and I got around more car shows, I figured out real quick that, hey, I'm going to need to step my game up. In order to step my game up, I need to try to leverage cleaning products. I already go to shows. And so I got online and started looking, mother sponsorship. So that was the first car care sponsorship I had. You go to their website and you click on the sponsorship thing, or you find a general email and you say, hey, I have this vehicle. I go to these shows. What sponsorship opportunities are there? And that's if they don't already have a URL that spells out their sponsorship. So you read through them and you submit your information and you start to commit. And that's how you first get started in the whole sponsorship game. For SEMA, I had to work my ass off because you can't just go to SEMA with a basic car. You need product. A lot of the relationships that I have and sponsors that I have, the legit ones, those are relationships I'd been working for a couple of years because my car wasn't ready at the time. I didn't really have what it takes. I didn't have enough followers, but I made sure to always say hi to the right people. Not to be fake about it, but I would say, hey, I'm going to do this project. How can you be involved? And, they're like, let us know. Once it got around for SEMA, I was already on my first set of BC forged and I wanted new wheels for the wrap. So I wrote them, hey guys, I'm trying to get to SEMA. I'd like to get another set of wheels. I need to get shocks. I wrote to Clarion. I wrote to 3 or 4 different wheel manufacturers, to be honest. And each proposal I made sure I went through, I kind of told them who I am, what my story is, what my plans for SEMA are, what my accomplishments are, and how their product would help take my build to the next level. And in return, what sort of exposure I can do for them, because that's all they really want to know. What can you do for us? And since my vehicle is themed after a cartoon, I went out of the box and I hit up 80stees.com. I hit up Robotech. I hit up a lot of other things that are kind of related to my vehicle to see if they could, chip in and give me discounts on things so I can support them, or give me things free outright. And then what you find with SEMA is a lot of companies, they don't have a booth at SEMA because SEMA is very expensive and it's not worth it for a lot of the smaller companies or companies that just don't have expendable income, like Ford, who rents out like half the North Hall. And Lord knows they're probably paying millions of dollars for SEMA. But what they tell you is, hey, are you in SEMA? What booth are you in? And until you can confirm you're in SEMA, you're not getting hardly anything. But in order to keep that carrot at the end of the stick, they say, hey, once you get to SEMA, let us know who you're going to be with, then we'll talk. Once Ceramic Pro sponsored me for SEMA, that was it. Full steam ahead. Once I had a company that would sponsor me being in SEMA, everything else opened up. I had already hooked up with Michelin. I already had Michelin tires. So once I got into SEMA, I went back to Michelin and said, hey, I'm going to be in SEMA. And they said, great, we got you on tires. So I knew I didn't have to worry about my tires for SEMA. So I knew I'd have a brand new set of tires. I went to Clarion and said, hey, what's up? It's Jay. How you doing? Because I was already friends with them through the relationships that I had built. And I let them know, hey, I'm going to be in SEMA under Ceramic Pro. They said, great, here's a radio. For Avery, the wrap company, the Avery Vinyl, I sent them a proposal, said, hey, I'm going to be in SEMA. I need some material. And they said, great, here's all the material. We're going to mail it to your local installer. And I didn't get the wrap for free, but the local installer gave it to me, EA Wraps, for a really good price because I'd already gotten to SEMA. So that gives them an opportunity to have another one of their vehicles at SEMA because they know over 200,000 people are going to see the car and they're going to see EA Wraps on it. Just like Michelin's going to see Michelin on the window, just like Clarion's going to see Clarion on the car. It just helps them for marketing. Like I said, once I got accepted into SEMA, doors started opening up. My buddy with a 3D printing company, IC 3D printers, he told me that he'll print anything that I want for a good price. It wasn't free. It wasn't cheap. That's another thing. I spent a lot of money to get into SEMA. Now it's a lot less money with all the discounts, but I still spent a lot of money. So people have to understand, if you're going to go all in, unless you're at the level of like BC Moto, people aren't giving you a lot of things. A lot of times you just have to come out of pocket. Part of that is a commitment too. So they say, okay, so we're going to give you this product. We're going to promote you on social media. Your ass is ours for like the next year, the next 2 years. Now I feel, you have a commitment to them if you're an honorable person, so here we are. We're almost at the 2-year anniversary of SEMA. I have a Clarion builds page, that they put up for me. Any other sponsors that I've had repped me as well on social media, and that's also part of it. And that's one thing I always ask people. So you're sponsored by this company. When have they mentioned you on social media? So if you go through my feed, I have a different wheel company now, but even with BC Forged, I have a BC Forged page with my old wheels. I have a BC Forged page with my second set of wheels. Now I have Forge Line wheels. They gave me a great deal. And had I not already been in SEMA and already had a social media presence, then I wouldn't have got the same deal that I got on my Forge Lines. So everything kind of rolls together. Like once you get in, you can keep that ball rolling as long as you want. It's going to cost money. Stuff isn't for free, but things become a lot easier, just like the video game with Grid, as you work yourself up and go to more and more and more shows, be seen at more places, create a brand for yourself. I'm on Twitter. I'm all over Instagram. I've bridged the culture between the anime world and the car world. Robotech, they've put me on their website. They've put me on their social media. This is a company that makes cartoons, 80s tees in exchange for me putting 80s tees on the car and wearing their stuff. They've promoted me, and like I said before, I have a page on Clarion, and so when they give back to you and they talk about you to all the major people out there, then you've really secured a sponsorship, because it's not really a sponsorship, it's a partnership. So that's basically, my journey through SEMA. And, like we were saying earlier, there's a lot of misconceptions on what it is to really be sponsored and what it is to look for a sponsor. And, it's a two-way street. It's fair exchange on both sides. And, I'm at the point now where, again, I never made it to the BC Moto level where he's got Hot Wheels with his name, but I think I've I can look back at the whole journey in this last couple of years and say it's been a really successful run. No idea what I'm doing next. Brando, I have a model car coming out, a miniature of my car that they pre-sold hundreds of that'll be out in October. And my name's going to be on there with my Instagram and everything. None of that would have been possible without SEMA and the sponsorships and companies believing in me. And none of that would have been possible without me taking the bold step to design an anime wrap for my car. That risk of making my car the way it looks with sponsorships, sometimes if you really want to take the next step, you have to be willing to go to the extreme without selling yourself out. Because there's a lot of companies, like I approached, another major wheel manufacturer, and they straight up told me my vehicle isn't the vision and the image of what they're looking for. And you can't take that personal. I didn't take it personal.
No, you shouldn't, because that's their taste,
Yep. I'm friends with the main guys over there. I'll see them in a couple of weeks in Monterey. We'll chat it up. The guys about my age. I get it. So people can't take it personal if what you're pitching isn't what they're looking for, because at that point it's no longer a two-way exchange, just a one-way exchange.
Right. And you don't have that entitlement, you're like, this is what I'm going to do. And if anybody wants to pretty much a sponsorship is a collabo, that they support your idea and your build and they're willing to help.
So Instagram profile of the week.
Yes, sir.
So for those of you who are new to this program, every episode we're going to do an Instagram profile highlight of the week. And so we go through and outline, one of our favorite users to talk about that week just a little bit, tell you who they are and what their profile name is and what vehicle they drive. And hopefully you jump on board and follow them.
Mm-hmm.
So for my Instagram profile of the week, I'm thinking this morning as I was getting on the elevator going to work, it's like, you know what? My friend Michael Steiger, which is at battle.wagon, he needs to be highlighted because, this guy has more followers than me anyway. But if you're not following him already, Brando, you would love this guy.
Filipino dude, right?
Maybe. Michael, I don't remember if you're Filipino or not, or just Latino. So he has he's going to laugh when he hears that. But Michael drives a 2007 Hyundai Santa Fe. You heard me correctly. And he's on his third or fourth phase build of this mini SUV.
Mm-hmm.
His car is sick, man. It's really nice. And we struck up a friendship a year or two ago on Instagram. And, it's got a chance to see his vehicle, I think 1 or 2 phases ago. So he's up in Kingman, Arizona. He came down for an Elite Tuner show. So, we were able to hook up, walk around and laugh and drink some pops. But, when I look at his build, it reminds me a lot of people like yourself, myself, where you take something. His even more so because, we started with NSXs.
Right.
Right. One could argue, like, why did you ruin your NSX? We hear that shit all the time.
Right.
He had a Hyundai Santa Fe, okay? A Hyundai Santa Fe. Like, what do you even do with that? His Hyundai Santa Fe is clean. It's at battle.wagon. Give him a follow. Drop him a DM. Tell him you think his Hyundai is the sickest Hyundai on the planet. He'll tell you thanks. So who was your highlight of the week?
All right, man, this guy, I've been following him, I want to say a year and a half, 2 years ago. And he did, this guy is, his Instagram is Mustang Kyle. And he did.
How are you spelling that?
MUSTANGKYLE.
Just ran together, no dot, no underscore, nothing?
Just one word, Mustang Kyle. And he built a 67 Mustang with a C5 engine.
Oh.
And then it was this crazy over fender wide body that he did. And it's freaking crazy. But now he's building a 63 Volkswagen Beetle with a Hayabusa engine.
Oh, he's a Speed Hunters guy.
Is he a Speed Hunter?
Well, yeah, he's got this wide body. I think he's not it says Speed Hunters, but it looks like that looks like the Hoonigan Mustang. You've seen the Hoonigan Mustang?
Right. Yeah, he modeled it kind of like the Hoonigan Mustang.
Oh, yeah, I'm looking. It's not that, but
That's a badass, crazy looking vehicle. Oh, he built a little hatch on the back of it, like a
Right,
little
like
station
a
wagon.
right. And the thing about it is that
Huh?
those
That's dope.
fenders are metal. Like that's not 3D print or not fiberglass. Like that's some work. It's crazy, crazy work.
Oh, yeah, he was in Tuner Battlegrounds. Hope he won, man. That is sick.
Right, that's
But I
fucking
can see that. I mean, that's a build where people like it or they think it's just the worst thing ever. And why the hell would somebody do that to a car?
yep.
These people have no imagination. I'm looking at this thing like I think it's bad.
Right, like like he pretty much disassembled that Mustang and put it back together the way he wants it to look like.
You know what that car is? That is the main character's car in a post-apocalyptic movie. And I'm not trying to reference Mad Max, but anything like that. Escape from LA. One of those things where just the world's gone to shit and he's got that thing and he's just doing whatever he wants, running from the bad guys,
Right.
blowing some shit up. That is that car, and
It looks battle ready.
that is badass. So that's Mustang Kyle at Mustang Kyle.
Yep.
67 with a C5 motor.
Yeah, like
They're
I wish I
probably
had that much
oversimplifying
time.
it, but
I wish I had that much time in my hand in the garage, and actually, if I knew what the fuck I was doing.
there you go. Because I was like, it's not even just the time or the space, but the craftsmanship.
They had the know-how to pull that off.
Every once in a while, or the resources, because sometimes you have a vision, but not the craftsmanship. Like I don't have the craftsmanship, regardless of what people say.
Right.
I have a crazy vision, but sometimes you get that person who can imagine it and has the craftsmanship
Right.
and might have a little bit of money or spend every penny they have into the project, and that's when I think you see the really cool shit come out.
Right, when it starts taking its own form,
I mean, that makes my car look like just a Wrapped in a Sex, which it is in a sense, but I did my best to make it more while trying to stay relatively stock body.
Right. You did a good job on that one. So shout out Mustang Kyle.
Shout out. Yeah. So those are our Instagram highlights of the week. You got Battle Wagon, Battle.wagon, and then Mustang Kyle. If you have somebody you want to submit to us, go ahead and submit them. And it doesn't have to be necessarily our highlight. Ultimately, we'd like to see a collection of submissions, and then we can kind of pick which one we're going to go with.
Right.
What are your thoughts on that, right?
Correct. So send us what you guys think is cool or something that we should at least take a peek at,
Last year when I was on the same project, I wanted to do a video. So the guys over at Gears and Gasoline, Ben and Ben, they do an excellent job, and a lot of people saw my car on the Gears and Gasoline video, blah, blah, blah. I rent cars every week. So I figured, hey, why don't I open up a YouTube channel and do some rental car reviews? There isn't one out there. So I recorded 9 to 12 episodes. And it's really weird when you're like recording yourself out in the middle of nowhere. You can't listen to music because the music is copyrighted. So you're driving in a car and you're talking to a GoPro or you're talking to your cell phone at times. So it can be super awkward. So when you watch yourself, like right now when we're on the phone, we're probably doing all sorts of quirky little things, but we're not watching ourselves, so it doesn't matter.
Right.
Anyway, so I went back and I watched some of these videos, and man, there's some funny parts, but ultimately I'm like, I wouldn't want to watch this. This sucks. This sucks. If I don't want to watch my own show, then how can I expect other people to watch it? But to be fair, there's a lot of stupid shit on boring stuff that people watch. You pull up a how-to video and it'll have 200,000 views, and it's the worst fucking video ever with the lowest quality and the stupidest guy doing it or girl. But anyway, what I want to do is, I think we should add another section. So while you're talking about your Spectre Defender, I'm gonna have a section called Jay's Rental Car of the Week.
Cool. All right.
Yeah, and so I'll talk about what I'm driving that week.
Okay.
So like this week I have a GMC truck that I've never even heard of, and I'm not going to talk too much about it because I haven't done a lot of research on it. But it's a GMC Canyon, and it's ultimately what I'm going to do is say, this is what I'm driving this week. This is what I like. This is what I don't like. You might want to check it out. You may not want to check it out.
Okay. Yeah, that'll be good. That'll be good. Yeah, that'll give a lot of insight. I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people out there that rents cars for business and whenever they travel, and a little bit of insight always helps.
I agree. It's a little fun too. So, because some of these cars, like I have status with different car companies. My wife always makes fun of me because I start complaining. It's like, yeah, I showed up to the lot. It's 11:30. They don't have shit. She's like, oh, you're being too bougie. I'm like, man, when I travel as much as I do, And when the companies assign you a certain tier, like if you're like for Hertz, you got President Circle. So President Circle is the best you can do unless you want to pay extra for really cool shit. Right. And then, with National, I'm at the level that's the best I can do unless I want to pay $80 a day for a Range Rover. So, if you rent cars often, and you've rented cars, I'm sure, and, you have the economy, intermediate, blah, 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 blah. So when you're standing in the President's Circle, you're supposed to have some pretty decent cars to choose from. So sometimes you're standing there and there's a shit. I want to be in something that's kind of clean and cool. And for me, I have to have CarPlay, man. If it doesn't have CarPlay, it doesn't get J. That's my hard rule.
Right. Especially if they're new.
Yeah. And more manufacturers are starting to do it. But right now, Nissan Infiniti is still a little bit behind unless you upgrade. Toyota doesn't have it unless you upgrade your vehicle. And there's no upgraded vehicles when you're renting cars. GMC has it. Chevy has it. Dodge has it. Ford has it. Hyundai has it. So there's, some Jeeps have it. Some Jeeps don't. Like the Jeep Wranglers don't have it. But, the Jeep Cherokees, the Grand Cherokees, the Compass, they all have it. Like I said, no CarPlay, no J. But anyway, so that's I'm going to talk about that a little bit moving forward, but not today. So for Brando Barametta and myself, Jay Finning.
Peace out.
Peace out. This has been the Hard Parking Podcast.
If you guys are still listening to this, thank you. Before I go into my sponsorship closing, I do want to share that I finally got my pin, my little NSX pin from Lean Customs. I bought 250 of them. He kept half. I kept half. His sold out in less than a minute. I listed mine on Monday, and mine sold out in 15 minutes. So if you were fortunate enough to get in line and get one of those pins, congratulations. This was kind of a swan song for me. More details on that next week. But it was cool to finally have it come full circle, because originally in 2018, I also made a pin, and that pin is now worth over $1,000. It's not because it's me so much as it is because Hansel, the guy who runs Lean Customs, just blew up in popularity. My pins were some of the first pins, and the way we situated them back then, he didn't have very many to sell. I kept most of them, and I gave them away to sponsors and close friends and hardcore believers of the car and as a promotional item at car shows. But now they are just hard as hell to find for the diehard collectors, and that's the reason why they cost so much. It has nothing to do with J Fitting. Like, there's a few people who buy them because it's me, and for that I appreciate you guys. But it was really cool to get a second version. And this one has a Christmas tree on it. So you may have seen me do it on social media if you follow me on social media. If you don't, you should. I want to thank Wright Honda in Scottsdale, Arizona. Higher quality detail out of Tempe, Arizona. Boosterbath.com. FullOnline.com. TongueTreats.com. Cell Shop Wireless Services. The Credit Mix. Patreon Business Support. Akuya Automotive out of Winter Garden, Florida. If you're in a position to help the podcast upgrade, join my Patreon for as little as $3 a month to get access to bonus audio as well as show swag. I don't always drop bonus audio, but usually what that means is I may have a conversation with a guest before and or after the main show, and that's what I upload to Patreon. Sometimes you get free shit too. Not always, sometimes. I want to thank Mark Stoneman, Catherine Cox, Eddie Ramos, Richard Graves, Byron Jones, and Bo Jung. If you're interested in picking up any Hard Parking Podcast swag, you can email the show or send me a message on any of the social media platforms. We are out of Hard Parking shirts, the Wright Honda Hard Parking shirts as we know it right now. A new design will be coming in the new year. HardParkingPodcast@gmail.com. Follow me on Instagram at jfinning, that's JHAEPFENNING, or JTravels, JHAE_travels. Join the Hard Parking Violations Facebook group. Subscribe to the YouTube page, Hard Parking Podcast. I can't grow without you telling the world how great this show is, so let's do this. Let's grow this thing together. Please be careful on New Year's Eve, because I want to talk to all of you. Like, I'm not going to know if you die or not, but I want to talk to all of you in 2022. Have a happy New Year.
Now it's stripping time.
Shut up!